What's going on, guys? Zark Phoenix. I would like to talk today about the concept of an enemy in a broad context, really, not about anything in particular specific. I have been going around talking to a couple of people, mostly online, um, on shit talking and why people view others in a broad sense as an enemy. In online gaming, in multiplayer games, you'll find a lot of shit talking. And I asked people, a couple people online, why the shit talk? Why do they, feel the need to do that? And it's because, from their perspective, the other person, the person that they're playing against, is really the enemy. It's dehumanizing, really, the fact that that person you're playing with, is the enemy, and being friends with them is a bad thing. Now, there are two things with regards to enemies, and that it made me think about that when I went around and talked about that with a couple people. I basically universally got the same thing. The other person you're having, be it an argument with on an online forum, or someone you're shooting in COD. In the case of, for the example, the gameplay in the background, they are the enemy. Um, so it is a view that having enemies is good. A good quote that I particularly like was made by Winston Churchill. You have enemies? Good. That means you've stood up for something sometime in your life. In general, it means you've had an ideology, often whether it's right or wrong, and someone almost always is diametrically opposed to whatever it is you stand up for, right or wrong. There's always someone opposed to something. Uh, Someone disliked my "thank you for giving me subscribers" video. As silly as that sounds, I said thank you and I got a dislike for no reason. But to always view someone with even opposing views as an enemy, it reminded me of so it reminded me of that quote, as well as there's a very specific story which I wanted to say. Uh, in World War One, the year was 1914. I believe this was the first year of World War One. This was the first December of World War One that we were coming up on, and in the trenches, there was, on the opposing sides, the Germans, and the other side was the British. This, was a world war. No one had really gone through it before, and they had been killing each other and shooting each other, artillery fire, everything. But in the days leading up to Christmas, to December 24th, the British had taken to singing carols in the off hours. Uh, the Germans had taken to decorating their trench with candles, to the point where on Christmas Eve there was a frankly remarkable truce, totally unofficial, not recognized by generals on either side of the war. In fact, generals hated the fact that this happened. But for a few days, these two opposing groups, these enemies, ended up celebrating their common holiday together, in this case Christmas, and celebrating it very specifically together. There was no recorded gunfire in this significantly large area. I don't know how big this particular area was, but there's no firing, no shooting, no killing, not even probably a crossword spoken. Frankly, it was a bunch of kids that, you know, had been conditioned to believe that these other people were the enemy, and instead decided that they would rather have, even though they knew they had to fight because of ideological differences, they'd rather have a moment of joviality, of peace between the two, just so they could each experience, you know, what the other had to offer during what is, in this case, a very important holiday. It just it was an interesting contrast to what people seem to view as how enemies should act, and I just kind of want to tell that story. Anyways, that's about all I have to talk about today. So I'll see you guys later.